We said that Australia's land, as it is believed, existed millions of years, but human settlers arrived late. When did human settlers arrive to Australia? طب مجدي listen to your friends. Dobelina?
50,000
Miss,
years
my
ago.
internet is not good enough. Miss, can you hear me now? Miss?
Yes, yeah, Magdi, I can hear you, but it's getting mute again. So Dobelina will see the answer. Yes, Dobelina.
I know it's a miss.
50,000.
Yes, it's around 50,000 years ago. Actually, at that time, how was the Earth at this time? Jana Gouda,
Yes.
can you describe the Earth at these times?
How
To
يعني
be accurate, yani. The Earth's surface, can you describe it at this time?
um it was full of fossils
Mhm.
and it was clean, no pollution.
This is your point of view, but I'm asking from the book. It's okay, Jana. Mihad,
The Earth's water was frozen, and the sea levels were 100 of feet lower than today.
thank you very much. The Earth was frozen, the Earth's surface was frozen, and the sea level were hundreds of feet lower than they are today. Also, the areas underneath the ocean today were exposed to the surface of the water. And this has changed the nature of the Earth. What did it do? How did it change the Earth? Okay. Who can answer? Abdullah Rashwan? Abdullah?
Yes.
Can you tell me how did this change the areas of this or the surface of the sea? What did it created?
1 second. Yes.
I'm waiting. Hmm,
Can I answer?
please.
It created land bridges and transwellers.
Yes, it actually created land bridges and peninsulas over which groups of people left and walked across to Australia. Then people started to migrate in groups to Australia, and also the Asian mainland have been traveled longer distance by boat. These early people, which has traveled to Australia, were called, they were called, Laura, the early people were called, or the first people of Australia.
As the Aboriginal people.
Yes,
Sorry.
very much. They were called the Aboriginal people. The first people who settled down in Australia were called the Aboriginal people. From the history of Western Europe, Aboriginal people used to work in what? What kind of activity? Hannah Yasser?
They were hunters and gatherers.
Yes, thank you very much. They were actually hunters and gatherers. Can you tell me their lifestyle? How they were?
Me?
Can you tell me, Hannah, about their lifestyle?
Yes, of course. They gathered fruit and plant parts for food, and they were hunted animals for also food, and and for clothing, or they used their bones to make weapons. They also developed flat bent wooden weapon called the boomerang. It's a weapon they hunted animals with, and they threw the boomerang. The hunters threw the boomerang. It was like an L shaped, um, to stun their prey,
Yes, thank you.
and if it missed, it would come back.
Thank you very
Thank
much,
you.
Hannah. Thank you for the explanation. So please, guys, if you're going to take notes, please make sure you take notes because no more PowerPoints will be available. So you need to take notes in order to study from the book. First of all, let's start by the first point, which I'm going to clarify that scientists believe that the lands of Australia and New Zealand existed thousands of years before the settlers came. This is number one. Number two, that settlers just arrived 50,000 years ago. And at this time, the Earth's surface was frozen, and also the sea level were very low compared to today's level. Then people started to settle down. People who came to Australia are migrating from New Guinea, or they're coming from the Asian mainland. So people are coming from all over the world to just come and settle down in Australia. And they have settled, and they have يعني started the Australian continent. These people are called the Aboriginal people, and they are the first Australian to settle down, or the native Australian. They have worked generally in hunting and gathering fruit and roots. This was their lifestyle. They have also plant parts for food, and parts of it were by hunting animals, and they have developed a flat bent wooden weapon called a boomerang. The boomerang was a flat, flat but bent with an edge. They used to throw it an L shaped. They used to throw it in order to hunt their prey, and if it's not hunting a prey, it was coming back to the hunter. So again, who can tell me about the Aborigines of Australia, or how did life started in Australia? Ahmad Uta.
Good
Ahmad Uta.
morning.
Good morning. Huh? Can you tell me كده about the beginning of life in Australia, about the land, about people? Then Farah Mahrab will continue.
ماشي. The people الأول they were the Aboriginal people were gatherers. They survived by gathering fruits, roots, and other plants, and they hunted animals using a weapon called boomerang, which was an L-shaped weapon that used to stun their prey. If they missed, it would curve and come back to them.
Thank you,
And
Ahmed.
the land was continue.
No, thank you. Farah will continue. Farah, go ahead. Start from the beginning, ya Farah. When did they came?
They came 50,000 years ago.
I'm
When
sorry, ya
the
Farah. I
Earth,
mean Farah Mahlab.
yes, they came 50,000 years ago. When the water on the Earth's surface was frozen and sea levels were hundreds of feet lower than they are now, and areas that are underneath the oceans were exposed above the surface of the water, which created land bridges and peninsulas over which groups of people left New Guinea and walked across to Australia. And some other migrating groups from the Asian mainland travel longer distances by boat. These early people journeyed far and wide across the land, even to the island of Tasmania.
Yes, thank you, Farah. So this were
Well,
actually at the beginning of time. Then started the early settlements. The early settlements. Okay. Um, Actually, the some hunters weren't or gatherers weren't only working in farming, but some of them were nomadic. Who can tell me about the nomadic people there? Adam Sadat.
Yes, miss.
Tell me about the early settlements. All the hunters or the gatherers were.
We're nomadic people. They like to move from a place to another place, or search for water, or follow animals. For example, this place doesn't have enough water, so they move to another place that has enough water.
Yes, thank you. And also, is nomadic
They
people.
didn't practice farming.
Yes, that's what my question. Did they practice farming or not? Actually, they weren't practicing farming yet. But the only domesticated animals they were owned were, what was the animals they owned? What were the animals they have owned? Abdurrahman Abu Talib,
Yes, miss.
tell me about the name of the animals that you have owned. Abdurrahman, do you know?
Miss, I don't know.
Hannah Hani
They hunted the dingoes,
is the dingoes. What are
and
the,
they are species of dog.
yes, actually the
Miss,
dingoes are a species of domestic dogs that were brought to Australia from Asia about 4,000 years ago. Okay, but now we
yes,
have the wild dingoes which roam the outback and other parts of Australia. Okay, but actually there is a controversy regarding the animal's suitability to be a and to be considered as a pet. Other Aboriginal peoples have settled in one location. What did they do? Other Aboriginal people have settled in one place. What did they do, Laura?
Yes, miss. Some people lived permanently in one location, and some settled in the rainforests, and some made their homes in the mountains of the Great Dividing Range, and also because some traveled away from the humid lands, and they also learned to live in a harsh and dry land. So, and then later they began to farm
Yes, so
in their
after
land.
settling down in other areas, for example, other people settled in one location, some settled in the rainforest of the north, some made their own homes in the mountains of the Great Dividing Range, other traveled as far as they can from the humid lands. They have started to cope with the harsh and the dry lands of the outback, and eventually they have settled down and began farming in the land. Okay, so again, let me summarize this part. And if you're going to take notes, please go ahead. We said about we're talking about the early settlements. We said that some farmers and gatherers were actually nomadic or moving from one place to another. Why did they move from one place to another? Of course, they were moving in search for food, water sources, but nomadic people haven't actually practiced farming. They had only one animal, which was called the dingoes. And dingoes are a species of domestic dogs that were brought to Australia from Asia. But actually, nowadays, they are wild and they are roaming the outback and other parts of Australia. So there is a controversy over being suitable to be a pet or not. Other Aboriginal people settled in one location. Some of them have settled in the rainforests. Some of them have made houses in the mountains. Some of them actually have lived in the islands of Tasmania. But after all, they have learned how to settle down and they have learned how to deal with the harsh and the dry lands of the outback. But at the end, after they have settled down, they learned how to start farming. Okay, let's move to the Aboriginal culture. The Aboriginal culture. What
Miss,
kind
can
of
you
culture
repeat
did they
please
have?
آخر حتة? Can you repeat please that part?
The last part, okay. Some of the Aboriginal people have settled down in one location. Some of them settled in the rainforest. Some of them built houses in the mountains, and others have learned to deal with the humid and the dry lands. At the end, they have actually coped with this difficult weather conditions, the harsh and the dry lands, and they have started or began farming of the land. So after trying many places to like to move from one place to another. They have managed to get used to the harsh land, and they have started farming at the end. Okay, Uta?
Okay, miss, thanks.
Let's move back to the Aboriginal cultures. Here, as you can see in this picture, this is a picture of a woman. She's trying to live in the very harsh situation, the dry, there is no enough water sources, and she's carving, carving the as part of their culture or the Aboriginal culture. Who can elaborate about the Aboriginal culture? What did the Aboriginal people do? What do they have in common? What are their principles? They have like three concepts. Who can start? Hannah Yasser?
They have, as for the languages, they have about 400 different languages that were spoken across all the land in Australia. But many of the native speakers only share a certain number of common beliefs and cultural traditions. They were all closely connected to the natural world or their environment. Um, they were all closely connected to their natural environment. They had many beliefs about the creation of earth and
Let's
plants.
stop at the
Uh,
belief.
yeah,
Let's stop
no?
at the beliefs, Hannah. Thank you. Let me
Okay,
elaborate about the languages.
thank you.
So, traditional Aboriginal cultures take many forms. People were living in different parts of Australia, so they developed different types or different languages. So, how many languages were spoken there? There were like 400 different languages. So, they were different at something, which is the language, but they had something in common, which are the beliefs. Who can tell me about the common beliefs they used to have? The common beliefs. There are like three common beliefs. Who can tell me about the first one? Hannah Haney?
Yes, they believed in the earth creation that their ancestors made, and they made songs and dramas and storytelling telling about how did they create it.
So this was their first tradition or the first common belief because they were having different languages, but they believed they were having like common beliefs. The first one, they are actually believed on the Earth creation story, and they have used songs, dances, poetry, drama, and storytelling, and also visual arts, and also to retell the creation story as the dreaming or the dream time. The dream time is the name of the creation story that tells how the spirit ancestors created the world around them and the universe and the laws of life, death, and society. So they have one common, or actually three common beliefs. The first one is the story of the creation of the earth, which was they have actually presented through songs, dancing, poetry, and drama and storytelling, and they have called it the dream time or the dreaming or the dream time. Okay, the concept of dreaming is central to many Australia's native cultures or social beliefs. So also they have common beliefs, which is the dreaming or the storytelling till today. Also, they have believed or they have other forms that remain an important part of their Aboriginal culture. They still share the same social structure and the belief system. So again, who can tell me what are the three main concepts that the Aboriginal people have agreed to? And if you want it to be more organized, you'll find them in your practice book, the Aboriginal beliefs and traditions. Actually, they are like three or four. Who can tell me what are they? Hmm? Uta, go ahead.
They are closely connected to the natural world. They have traditional beliefs about the creation of Earth. Music, songs, dance, poetry, storytelling, and visual arts are important. Dreaming or the dream time explains the creation of the world.
Thank you. So the Aboriginal people have cultures or traditions or beliefs in common. What are they? They are four. They are connected to the natural world, as you can see here from the picture of the woman, that they are very connected to the natural world. They are having traditional or beliefs about the creation of Earth. They still have the same story they believe in the same story about the creation of the earth. And they have elaborated about it here. They have said that the spirit of their ancestor has created the world around them, has created the world around them. Also, they are sharing the same music, songs, dance, poetry, storytelling, and visual arts. Also, the dreaming, or they share the same dreaming or dream time, which explains the creation of the world. So these are the main Aboriginal beliefs. Who can tell me again? Who can repeat them again? Farah Hashim. Farah Hashim.
Mhm.
Can you please repeat them? Repeat the beliefs of the Aboriginal people.
Mistake.
Yes, I can hear you, Farah. Farah, I can hear you. It's okay, Dubolina. Dubolina,
Yes, miss.
can you? Yes.
They are connected to the natural world.
Yes. First one, they are connected to the natural world. Number two, Magdi.
Yes, miss.
Can you tell me about the second belief of or tradition of the Aboriginal people?
The second belief of what?
Of the Aboriginal people.
Um,
The Aboriginal people, they believe
yes, sir.
they are connected to the natural world. Number two,
And dreaming.
yes, dreaming or dream time, which explains the creation of the world. Thank you, Magdi.
Yes,
Number
okay.
three, Hannah Hani.
مستني.
Yes, Yafar.
بس حضرتك سامعني دلوقتي؟
Yes.
اوكي، مثلا ممكن اجاوب
Go ahead, Yafar.
ايه مس؟
Yes, go ahead.
اوكي، هو الكويستشن كان ايه؟
The question was about the Aboriginal beliefs and traditions. They share food, beliefs or traditions.
اه اوكي. one of them is music, dance, storytelling.
Yes. Thank you very much.
uh,
Okay, I want the fourth one, Ritesh. The last one.
Traditional beliefs about the creation of the earth.
Aboriginal beliefs about the creation of the earth. That's it for our lesson today. Inshallah, tomorrow we'll start. And please prepare ahead the story of New Zealand or the Morai of the New Zealand and the Morai culture also. Then we'll be having or concluding the session by the Morai. Then I will actually compare between New Zealand and Australia, the Aboriginal people and the Morai people, okay? Anyone want to ask any question? Okay, guys,
No,
see
miss, thanks.
you tomorrow, inshallah.